Hey everyone, let's discuss current affairs. So here we have the first question, which is, who among the following persons will succeed Dinesh Khara as the next chairman of SBI? So in short, it's asking you, who is the next chairman of the State Bank of India? The answer here is Challa Srinivasalu Sethi or CS Sethi. But let's also say the other options, okay? Because they are also the directors or the CEOs of another important banks in India. So which are they? Here we have Amitabh Chaudhary, who is for Axis Bank. Right? The next we have Atul Kumar Goyal, and he is for the PNB or the Punjab National Bank, the CEO of the Punjab National Bank. Then we have K. Satyanarayan Raju, he is the CEO of the Canara Bank. Alright? And we have Rajesh Kumar Dubey, he is one of the directors of the SBI. But the question here talked about the chairman, and that is CS Sethi. Now let's also understand about the State Bank of India. Now we know that is the largest public sector bank of India. If you talk about the private sector, in private sector we do have the HDFC, right? It's a private bank. But if you talk about the public bank, it is the SBI. It is also one such important bank for India because it also is the only bank that got listed in the Fortune Global 500, and also it is the 7th bank in the Forbes Global 2000. So some more facts for you with regard to SBI. Let's now proceed to the next question. So here we have, who among the following has authored the book titled Venkaiah Naidu Life in Service? Okay, now of course the question here you should also be asking is, who is Venkaiah Naidu? And I'm sure you must be knowing that he was the 13th Vice President of India. So we have a book that's come out, that is Venkaiah Naidu Life in Service. Now, also to add, of course, we know the answer to this is S. Nagesh Kumar. But remember that there was not just one book that came across. There were 3 books that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi had mainly inaugurated. Now, what was this for what? Here we see on 1st July is the birthday of Venkaiah Naidu. So on this particular day, there were 3 books that were released, and that was done in the hands of our Prime Minister. So here, let us see which are the 3 books. So first book we've seen, Venkaiah Naidu Life in Service, and that is by Shri S. Nagesh Kumar. The second book, it's a pictographic, or it's a photo chronicle, right? This has been compiled by I.V. Subba Rao, and it is the Celebrating Bharat, the mission message of Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu as the 13th Vice President of India. And finally, we have Mahenata. Okay, Mahenata, which is the life and journey of Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu. This is given by Sanjay Kishore. Okay, now the third book is mainly a pictography. It's again pictures that are mainly also in Telugu. Okay, the words are mentioned in Telugu. So remember, the third book is in Telugu, but the other 2 books that we have in English. So let's proceed and also understand some important facts about the other options that we have given. So this answer is S. Nagesh Kumar. What about Sanjay Jha? He is an author. Okay, he has written 2024 India in Free Fall. So that is his book, recent book 2024 India in Free Fall. He's the author of that. Arun Tiwari, if we see, he has co-authored with the former President of India, which is we have Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Wings of Fire. You must have heard of this very famous book, right? So he has been co-authored with APJ Abdul Kalam. He's also written his biography. So again, he is also a scientist and an author, Arun Tiwari. Then we have Abhijit Banerjee. Now, who is he? He is a Nobel Prize winner, right, for economics, 2019 winner, Abhijit Banerjee, and then we have Siddharth Monga, who's also an author. He's a cricket writer mainly, and he has recently also co-authored a book with a cricketer, that is Ravichandran Ashwin is the name of the cricketer, and the book is The Streets, right? It's with regard to I Have the Streets. So talking about gully cricket and all of that sort. So here we have the questions, and we've seen about Venkaiah Naidu, the 13th Vice President. Now question is, who is the current Vice President? It is Jagdeep Dhankar, right? Okay, so you can list that down if you haven't noted that down. Jagdeep Dhankar is the Vice President of India, the current Vice President. President is Draupadi Murmu. So let's proceed to the next question. Here we have the Navy of which country signed a contract for the Made in India 800-ton ocean-going tug. Now, ocean-going tug, it's mainly a ship, okay, ocean-going tug, with India's Garden Reach Shipbuilding and Engineers, that is GRSE, that is commonly called. So, which country had this contract? It is Bangladesh, right? So, let's understand more about this. If we talk about this ocean-going tug, very important. Mainly it's a 21 million such valuation of the ship that we're giving now. This is going to help in rescue operations. It's also going to help in towing ships. So that is the benefit that we see. And this is going to be with the contract is with Garden Reach Shipbuilding and Engineering. It is said that in 24 months they're going to hand over it. And this is mainly based in Kolkata. Okay, the GRSE is based in Kolkata. If you talk about Bangladesh, it is one of the largest boundary that India shares with any other country, right? The largest boundary, land boundary that we have. So how much is the land boundary? It is about 4096.7 kilometer. Okay, that is huge boundary that India shares with Bangladesh, right? So we see that we have countries like 7 countries that we have the shared land boundary, and 2 countries that we share the river, you can say the oceans with, right? So those are sea neighbors, and these are our land neighbors. When you talk about Bangladesh, we see that which are the states that share the boundary or share the border with Bangladesh. So that is Assam, West Bengal, then we have Mizoram, Meghalaya, and we also have Tripura. Okay. So these are some important aspects that you need to know. In fact, Bangladesh is one of India's largest trading partner in the South Asian countries. We also have a number of naval exercises or even military exercises like Bongo Sagar. Right, Bongo Sagar is a naval exercise that we have with Bangladesh, and which is the military exercise Sampriti. Okay, so you need to mention or need to know this. And if you talk about who's the current Prime Minister of Bangladesh, that is Sheikh Hasina. Okay, and she did also come when we had the Prime Minister's oath taken, or he was elected as a Prime Minister once again. So this is all that we have that we can discuss with this. Let's proceed to the next question. And this is with regard to who among the following F1 drivers won the 2024 Austrian Grand Prix? Okay, so this is with regard to Formula Racing, and the answer is George Russell, and he plays for Mercedes. Right, he is for Mercedes. Then we have Max Verstappen, so he is for Red Bull, and Lando Norris, who is for McLaren. Okay, so it was a very interesting race because we see that Max and Lando actually were leading, and then there was some sort of a collision which led to George Russell then taking the lead. So here we have the answer, which is George Russell of Mercedes winning the Grand Prix, Austrian Grand Prix. Let's understand the next question, which is which among the criminal laws given below has come into effect across the country from July 1st, 2024. So here we have all the 3, right? That is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, Bharatiya Nyay Sanhita, and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. So all the three, so that's why your answer is 1, 2, 3. Now let's understand more about this. What exactly are they replacing? Okay, so here they are replacing the colonial laws, okay, the age-old laws. So you can say the later half of the 1800s, we had the Britishers who got about the law to maintain the law and order for policing duties and so on. So here you have the Indian Penal Code of 1860. That is being replaced by the Bharatiya Nyay Sanhita, right, BNS. Then you have the Criminal Procedure Code of 1898. Right, that is replaced by Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, BNSS. And finally, the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 is being replaced by the Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, okay, BSA. So why are we doing this? What is the need for replacing it? Because these are colonial aged reforms, right? These are colonial aged laws that are there, and now we need to change according to the changing times. Right? So here we see that the focus here is justice approach. The focus here is to increase technology, right? And we know that there have been new crimes that have been there. Okay, with the changing times, we see new such people are exploiting the system. So here we see that new additions like mob lynching or organized crime or terrorism, all of that needs to be also added, and therefore we see the replacement that is happening. All right. So even if you talk about technology, here we see the Ministry of Home Affairs is bringing about e-Sakshya. Okay. So this is also was in the news that the Ministry of Home Affairs is testing e-Sakshya. Now, what is this? This is mainly where the police officers can now take pictures with regard to a crime scene, you know, or you can put their investigation videos right onto the cloud. So everyone, it's like a central database for the police systems to then extract. So that is with regard to the e-Sakshya, with regard to the evidence that can be now taken online, or you can say that can be stored with them privately, of course, in their cloud. So this is with regard to the new systems that have been brought about by the government effectively from 1st July 2024. Let's understand the next question. Which international lending institution approved a second round of $1.5 billion recently to support India's low carbon energy sector? And that is the World Bank. Okay, it's the second round. That means first we also saw in June 2023 and now again in 2024. Now, what is the aim of this particular funding? Okay, the aim, as we mentioned, it's low carbon energy sector. It means it is also ensuring the increased use of renewable energy because we want to reduce our carbon emissions. We also want to ensure that we are increasing the production of green hydrogen. What is green hydrogen? That is the process that we have hydrogen produced mainly through renewable sources to the process of electrolysis, right? So that is with regard to green hydrogen. We're also looking at emissions, stopping, or you can say reducing our emissions mainly from the carbon emissions. So here we also can relate it to our target. Now our target is that by 2070, we want to have net zero carbon emissions. Okay, net zero carbon emissions. Okay, we want to receive carbon neutrality. Now, what does this mean? That means how much we are emitting carbon dioxide, that much we need to ensure that we absorb it from the atmosphere. So that is why it's called the net zero. It's not that we're going to have zero carbon emissions, but we are mainly having net zero. That means whatever carbon emissions we're giving out, that much we are also absorbing from the atmosphere through the form of technology, and that is through the different technological aspects. And here we have the funding given by the World Bank. Let's also understand more about the World Bank. So when was the World Bank formed? It was formed in 1944. So the agreement was called as the Bretton Woods Agreement or the Bretton Woods Conference, where this took place, 1944. And where are the headquarters of the World Bank? That is in Washington. Right? Washington, D.C., which is in the US. So this is with regard to the World Bank. Let's proceed to the next question. This is India provided financial assistance towards the construction of transit houses at Madhu Shrine. The shrine of a lady of Madhu is in which country? That is in Sri Lanka. So now what is this whole question talking about? The question says that we are giving assistance to which country? To Sri Lanka, mainly to create transit houses. What are transit houses? This is mainly a place for the pilgrims that visit the shrines, right? So it is a place for them to rest, for the pilgrims to rest. So this is going to be at Madhu Shrine. So this is a shrine that is mainly 400 years. It's got an old history. It's one of the oldest shrine in Sri Lanka, and there we see number of pilgrims coming year on years, mainly to this miraculous shrine. So that is why this is nothing much to discuss here. If you can remember who is the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka and the President of Sri Lanka. If you talk about the President, it is Ranil Wickremesinghe. Right? And if you talk about the Prime Minister, it's Dinesh Gunawardene. Okay, Dinesh Gunawardene. And where is the capital of Sri Lanka? So we have two capitals as Colombo and even Sri Jayawardena Kotte. So that is also another capital of Sri Lanka. Let's proceed to the next question, which is which country has introduced one of the most powerful non-nuclear bombs named CBEX-2, okay, with a lethality of 2.01 times greater than standard TNT, which is trinitrotoluene. So which is this? This is of course India. It was recently in the news. Now let's understand more about this. What is CBEX-2? Now this is one of the most powerful non-nuclear bombs. Okay, and when we say it is very lethal, how lethal is it? Okay, 2.01 means what is the lethal aspect of it? Now whenever we want to understand the explosion lethality of any such warhead or a bomb, we compare it to trinitrotoluene. Okay, that's TNT. So here, if you talk about BrahMos missile, you must have heard of the BrahMos missile, which is a joint collaboration between India and Russia. Now here you see that the warhead that BrahMos possesses has about 1.5 times TNT. Okay, that much explosive, that much lethal it is. Now we have created 2.01. Okay, that's one of the, you can say, most powerful one. And if you talk about the average one that you see, you'll always find it about 1.25 or 1.35. So that is the range. Okay, so if you want to gauge the lethality of any such warheads or bombs, you mainly kind of equate it to TNT, that is nitrotoluene. Now coming back to this, we see that India has produced. Now who has produced it in India? That is the Economic Explosive Limited. Okay, Economic Explosive Limited, which is housed in Nagpur, Maharashtra. And this is a subsidiary of Solar Industries. Okay, so it's a subsidiary of Solar Industries. They have mainly developed this particular warhead, or you can say bomb. Okay, so that is with regard to this particular article. Let's proceed to the next question. On July 1st, 2024, which country took over the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union for 6 months? So here you have Hungary, which is the country that is the current presidency, right? For how much duration? For 6 months. Now let's understand about the EU or the European Union. So how many members do you have in the European Union? We have about 27 members. In fact, there were 28, but you know that UK had exited from the EU, so that there was Brexit, right? So therefore now you have 27. Now this is a grouping, right, which is mainly a political and economic grouping. They have common policies. They have common also currency, right? So there are common currency is euro, and it is mainly 19 countries only have subscribed to this Euro. Some other countries, there are other 9 countries that did not join it. But remember that Euro is mainly a common currency with most of the European Union countries. If you talk about, they also have the access to travel, okay, across. If you have the Schengen area, it's called the Schengen area. So if you have a Schengen visa, you can mainly easily move to Portugal or Spain or France. That is also another such agreement that is among the EU countries. Of course, there are some other non-EU countries that are also part of it. So this is the Schengen area. If you talk about, they have some common policies with regard to their economy. So that is how these countries come together, 27 countries, and they have a common market, right? So when you talk about how did this EU come into place, what is the name of the treaty? Now that is the Treaty of European Union, and it is also called as Maastricht Treaty. Okay, this is called as a Maastricht Treaty, and this was signed in 1992. Okay, this was signed in 1992. So here you have, with regard to EU, which is the major council, the council is mainly rotating, and now you have Hungary, which is the capital of Hungary, which is Budapest. Okay, the capital is Budapest. So here we have seen comprehensively about EU and also with regard to Hungary. Let's proceed to the next question. Which country has successfully launched the ALOS-4 Earth observation satellite aboard the H3 rocket? So your H3 rocket is mainly your launch vehicle. Now when you talk about ALOS-4, the full form of this is Advanced Land Observation Satellite. Okay, so that is the full form of ALOS, and it is also called as Daichi. Okay, Daichi 4 is the name also that is of ALOS. Now, who has mainly launched it? It is Japan. Okay, Japan Space Agency is called the Japan Aerospace Agency. Okay, so we have Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. So we have an X also, so that's why it's known as JAXA. Right? It's also known as JAXA. So therefore you have Japan, where this particular satellite, what is the satellite used for? It's going to be used for disaster management, right? It is going to have high resolution images for mainly observing the Earth, and that's why the name Land Observing Satellite. If you talk about Japan, who is the Prime Minister of Japan? That is Fumio Kishida. Right? And the capital, of course, is Tokyo. So some important facts that we're seeing also with regard to a particular country. Let's proceed to understand the next question, which is, which ministry has organized the 2-day AI conference, Global India AI Summit, from July 3rd of this month in New Delhi? So which is the ministry that is organizing? That is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, METI. Can you tell me the minister of METI, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology? That is Ashwini Vaishnav. Okay, so that is the minister. Okay, a very learned man. He is from IIT Kanpur, graduated from IIT Kanpur, also did his MBA from Wharton. So very well that we have him heading the METI. Now let's get back to this article or this question where it says about Global India AI Summit that was happening in Delhi. Okay. Now it is also important to know that why is the summit created? This summit was had experts, they had policymakers, all of them coming in one single roof to discuss about AI, to discuss the future of artificial intelligence. So here we also see why is India hosting, also because we see that we have a lead chair. India has a lead chair for the GPAI. Now, what is GPAI? It is your Global Partnership on AI. So, let me just note this down for you. Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. So, there are about 29 countries that are part of it. India, of course, is also part of it. And what is the major aim of this particular organization? This is mainly, or this partnership mainly is for bridging the gap between the theory and practice on the use of AI. It wants to make AI safe, secure. It wants to ensure that artificial intelligence is inclusive. It does not violate anybody's human rights, or it does not, or it is more sustainable, right? So that is the major, you can say, aim or the objective of the global partnership on AI, which has 29 members, including India. India is a member, and in fact, it's the lead chair for the year 2024. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. Next year, if you say, it is Serbia. Okay, so it was decided that Serbia will be for 2025. So that is why we also are doing these summits, right? Global India AI Summit in the light of the same. Let's proceed to the next question, which is with regard to National Doctors' Day. It is celebrated in India annually on July 1st, every year in the honor of Bidhan Chandra Rao. Now, this man is a person, has many feathers in his hat. What is it? He has been a physician. He has been a freedom fighter. Okay. And he is also, or he was also the CM, okay, of West Bengal. So he's a former Chief Minister of West Bengal too. And on that particular, so we celebrate on the birth and death. So he has been born, and he died also on the same day, that is July 1st. Okay, so that is an auspicious day, and that is why we also celebrate National Doctors' Day. Now, why do we celebrate National Doctors' Day? It is mainly to acknowledge the efforts of the doctors for their selfless service, right? So we are acknowledging that, we are appreciating that, and that is why we have Doctors' Day. And of course, during the time of COVID, they were our you can say the lead that they had, or the work that they did to keep us healthy and safe. We should definitely acknowledge this more often. Let's get back to this article. If you talk about National Doctors' Day, this year's theme that we have, it is with regard to caring hands, helping, you can say, 1 minute. Cut bolungi na? Okay. Okay. So this year's theme that we have is helping hands. Let me just write it once again. Helping hands, caring hearts. Okay, so this is the theme of 2024 National Doctors' Day, 1st July. That is what you have to remember. Now, getting back to the other people in the options, okay, so let's also see what has been their contribution. So if you talk about C.V. Raman, he's known for the Raman effect, right? Raman effect. And we see that on the discovery of Raman effect, to also acknowledge this, we also have National Science Day. Okay, what do we celebrate it as? National Science Day. And when do we celebrate that? It is on Feb 28th. Okay, so one more fact that you can remember. Let's understand about Jagadish Chandra Bose, or J.C. Bose. Now, he has invented something known as the crescograph. Okay, crescograph is basically measuring the growth of plants. So that is done by J.C. Bose. Har Gobind Khurana has also won the Nobel Prize for Medicine. Right, so he's been a Nobel Prize winner. Apart from that, we have P.C. Mahalanobis, which is Prasanta Chandra Mahalanobis. He has been a former, you can say, the member of the first 5-year plan, right? We know we have the Planning Commission. So first Planning Commission member, he's been the part of it. He was also the Chief Statistician of India. And that is the reason we also have National Statistics Day. National Statistics Day. That is celebrated on what day? That is June 29th. All right. And PC Mahalanobis, we know that the second 5-year plan is also called as the Mahalanobis model. Okay, because he has been given focusing on industrialization, right? So the focus on rapid industrialization was mainly done in the second 5-year plan that was called as the Mahalanobis model. So this is with regard to some important key facts that you need to know. Let's proceed to the next question. According to the World Bank report, which country received remittances worth 120 billion in 2023? Okay, so here we are going to discuss what do you mean by remittances and which is the country to win so. So yeah, here we have the India that is leading 120 billion remittances. Now what do you mean by remittances? Remittances is mainly the migrants, okay, that are working, okay, migrants that are probably working in a country A. They are sending funds, right, to maybe their family or their friends in the home country, right, in the home country. So B. So this transfer of funds that is happening to their family or friends back in their home country, that is called remittances. Now, this is a very important source of income that comes, a very important source of financial, you can say forex, okay, like we have dollars coming in, we have dirhams. So we also have good forex sources coming because of the migrants that are sending money back home. So that is remittances. So which is the leading country? It's India. It got 120. The second in line was Mexico. Okay, Mexico got about 66. So India actually got, or you can say, about twice the size of remittances that we see in 2023. It was about a 7% growth is what the World Bank says. Then we also have China, we have Philippines, right? We have Pakistan. They are also the other members that are the top 5 of the countries that are receiving remittances. You'll normally see that the country receiving remittances will be mostly a low-income country. Okay, they'll be low-income country, and it is mainly coming from high-income places, or maybe OECD, emerging, you can say the developed countries. So that is how the transfer happens. So where have we received these remittances from? If they ask us, which is the major contributor country for the remittances in India, that is USA. Okay, USA is like topping the chart. After USA, it is UAE. Okay, UAE. So here you also have a number of expats, or you can say number of Indians that are working, skilled laborers that we have in US and even in UAE. In fact, if you see of late UAE, the relations that we have with this country have improved. So certainly, if you talk about the recent agreements that we've had, okay, like for example, the bilateral investment treaty or the comprehensive economic partnership agreement, okay. So both of these agreements that we have with United Arab Emirates, UAE. And what is the meaning of having this sort of agreement? This also means that investments will going to increase. The investments from both the countries. Investor in A will invest in B. That's going to be smooth. That's going to be efficient. It's well regulated. So the investors will also have confidence with the other country where this agreement is signed. Right. Apart from that, we can also say that, you know, the sort of systems that we have are integrated well now. The messaging systems, the payment systems. So we see additional collaboration that are coming under this particular aspect. And this is how the agreement helps in bringing these two countries economically together. So this is with regard to this question. Let's proceed to the next question. Cut. चलिए का मैं कंटिन्यू करती हूँ. Start. Who will chair a 26-member advisory committee set up by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, or MOSPI, on National Account Statistics to decide the base year for GDP data. Now, this answer is Biswant Golder. Let's understand what do you mean by base year. Okay, so what is the question saying? That we have a committee now that is going to discuss on what should be the base year for GDP data. What is base year? Okay, base year is also called as like the reference year. Okay, or it's called as the benchmark year. But what is it used for? Let me give this in the form of an example. Okay, say for example, your friend says that, you know what, I scored 65% in my exam. So you will say, what's so great in that? 65 is not that great, right? But if he says, but last year I scored 40%. So then you'll say, okay, then that means you have improved, that you have done very well. Then from 40, he's directly gone to 65. It's a great achievement, right? So that is mainly telling us that he has improved as compared to what he was actually, where he was at. Right? Another example. Okay, now let's take this in the form of an economical example. Let's proceed. Let's understand that if a country's GDP, say, is about 100 rupees. Okay, of course, this is not practically, but this is just for an example. Hypothetically, we say it's 100 rupees. Now, if the country's GDP, okay, was 60 rupees, right, we see that there is an increase. This is say to 2024 and this was 2025, right? So here we say that, of course, the GDP has improved. So we need a reference here, or we need some benchmark here to actually compare with how we are standing, right? You can compare your height only if you know, or you can mainly have a benchmark or maybe a criteria, a standard set, right? So that is why we need to have some benchmark or a base year, and that is why you have the base year. Okay, and now it is also used for adjusting inflation. Now, what does this mean? Now, let's take again in the form of an example. Say you have in 2010, okay, let's take 3 years, 2010, 2011 and 2012, right? So let's say you produced 10 goods, okay? Say a company A produced 10 goods, okay, and it was priced at 100 rupees. Each good was priced at 100 rupees. And what profit did they make? 1000 rupees, right? If you say that in next year, okay, they produced 10 goods only, but this time what did they do? They increased the price. Okay, they increased the price to 200 rupees. So what will be their total value now? 2000. Okay, but here remember, they have not increased their production. They have only increased the prices because maybe inflation, right? The next year, okay, the following year that we see, now they produce 20 years and now there's no inflation, right? So here you see that the valuation was back to 100 rupees. And here you see again it is 2000. Now you see the valuation of 2011 and 2012, even though both it's saying 2000, there is a difference. What is the difference? The difference is inflation, right? So here you can understand how much inflation was there, right? You can understand that, and it is not mainly your GDP or your growth has improved, not because of the price rise, okay, because that is going to be certain, but it has also improved because you have produced more, your supply has increased, your supply chain system has improved. So that is essential to know about a country's growth. We need to understand. So that is why we have base year. Okay, it's like a reference, it is a benchmark, mainly telling also where that year where the inflation you keep 0. So you consider this is where it's normal, it's 0, and you understand how it has increased. So it is helping us to understand data, it helps us to understand and analyze data, and it helps the economists mainly when we have a base year. Now, when you talk about base year, what is the current base year that we talk about? The current base year is 2020. 2011-12, right? Of course, there were talks that it will be 2017-18, but now we see that proposed, okay, it is set to be proposed 2020-21. So we're going to see what is going to be the proposal. This is what they are going to say, but let's see if MOSPI confirms it. Right now, it is 2011-2012. In fact, earlier it was 2004-5. It has increased, it was changed to 2011-12, and now we're going to see what it's going to be. Now, how do they select the base year? The base year is selected or is kept as that year where there hasn't been any major change. Maybe no major conflict, or maybe no major structural changes or economic crisis. So that is the year where it is considered as a normal year. That is selected as a base year. So we have seen completely about this article. We've seen what is the base year. And we have a committee who's been chairing it, Biswanath Golder, mainly to decide the base for the GDP. Let's understand the next question. India was ranked dash in the International Monetary Fund Artificial Intelligence Preparedness Index. So we already saw with regard to artificial intelligence. Now this is an index. Okay, so how is India faring? The India's rank is 72nd. Okay, India's rank is 72nd. Now let's also see how many countries are ranked. The countries are ranked is 174. 174 are the total countries that are there, mainly talking about how prepared, how ready you are in various spheres or in various areas, maybe, you know, digital infrastructure, if you say, you know, in other such human capital. So these are the areas that we talk about. So they give 3 important criteria. Okay, so it could be you're an advanced economy. Okay, you can be an emerging market. Okay, also called as EM. Or you could be a low income country. Okay, so based on the percentage that you have, or based on the rank that you have, you are either one of them. Where does India stand? We are an emerging market. We are an emerging market. Now, which is the country that, sorry. Okay. Singapore and South Sudan, okay? Okay. Now, which is the country that is leading in this AIPI? That is Singapore. Okay, Singapore, it has the first rank. The score that it has is 0.8. Okay, if you talk about India, India's rank is like, you can say the rating that we have is 0.49. That's our score. Okay, Singapore is 0.8. If we talk about the last country, that is 174th country, okay, that is South Sudan. So we have also seen the rankings. We have seen India's rank. We have seen about the AIPI, right? Let's also understand about the IMF. Okay, when was the IMF formed? IMF was formed in 1944. It was the same conference that we did for World Bank, which is that, the Bretton Woods Conference, okay? The Bretton Woods Conference. And where will the headquarters of IMF be? The IMF's headquarters is also in Washington, okay? So that is also something that you can mention. Headquarters is also Washington, DC, USA. So what is the difference between IMF and World Bank? World Bank, if you see, it gives grants, it gives loans to whom? To the developing economies, you know, to work in various sectors. On the other hand, we have IMF that is mainly responsible for, you know, improving the financial structure. Okay, in terms of if there is a country that is facing balance of payment crisis. Okay, so to give about certain technical assistance to help them come back. So you must have seen IMF giving grants and loans to Sri Lanka, Pakistan. Right, so bringing them from their economic turmoil is what this country or what this organization does. So this is with regard to AIPI. We've seen some important data. Let's proceed to the next question. Who among the following nations has topped the International Monetary Fund's Artificial Intelligence Preparedness Index? Now, we've already discussed about this, and that is Singapore. And which is the last country? That is South Sudan, right? 174th. And what is India's rank? That is 72nd out of the 174 countries. Okay, so that was a quick revision for you. Let's proceed to the next question. With which educational institution did the Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India, that is MBRDI, sign a 5-year Master Research Agreement, MRA, for advanced technology research? So that is BITS Pilani, right? Or you can call it Birla Institute of Technology and Science, which is in Pilani. Okay, so this is BITS Pilani where they have. So what is the major aim? To increase the technology, right? To increase the technological research, where we have two organizations coming, increase in collaboration, right, of industry and educational sector. So that is one such important fact that you need to know. Let's proceed to the next question. The RBI has joined the Project Nexus. Okay, Project Nexus, a multilateral international initiative to enable instant cross-border retail payments by interlinking domestic fast payment systems. Okay, what are fast payment systems? Like you have the UPI, right, where you quickly can transfer money from one person to another, right, in no time. So that is what it's doing. It's trying to interlink various domestic fast payment systems, okay, or instant payment systems, also called as that, of various countries globally. Project Nexus is conceptualized by the innovation hub of the, so who is bringing about this particular Project Nexus? We have joined Project Nexus, but the Bank of International Settlements, right? This is the bank that is mainly got about this Project Nexus. What is the aim of that? To mainly get all the fast payment systems. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can, use UPI, you can, and it will go through their portal, to their systems, and then you can transfer money within 60 seconds is what they say. Okay, so how seamless this is going to be. Now we know that RBI also has collaborations with various countries, like we had with Nepal and Bhutan and Sri Lanka. So now you can also use your UPI even in those countries. Now we've had that bilaterally, but this project that we have, Project Nexus, is going to be global. Okay, so currently if you see, there are 5 countries that have joined it. Okay, it's going to be phase wise. So we have 5 founder countries, if you say. So RBI, India is one. What the other 4? They can ask you that, right? So we have MPSTI. Okay, so that is what I remember it as. That is, we have Malaysia, Philippines, S stands for Singapore, Thailand, and India. If you see that the rest of the 4 countries are also part of a grouping. Do you know which grouping that is? That is ASEAN, right? They are Southeast Asian nations. So these 5 countries are going to be first starting with this, and if it progresses well, we know that it is going to be a very good advancement for easing the cross-border payments, okay, to make it instant and to easily make it very, very seamless. That's what it's going to be. Let's proceed to the next one. Of course, if you talk about the Bank for International Settlement, because of course that's the answer, where is it located? Where is the head office? That is in Basel. Okay, that's in Switzerland. Okay, it was in 1930 that this came across. 1930 it came across. And what does it do? It mainly is so that banking systems all over the world can be better. So they give standardizations, they give regulations and rules to make banking systems swifter, efficient. Okay, so that is what the BIS is. Let's proceed to the next question. Who lead the Indian delegation at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Council of Heads of State, in place of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on July 3rd and 4th in Astana in Kazakhstan? So here we have our Minister of, what is he heading? Minister of External Affairs. Okay, External Affairs was mainly part of this SCO Council of Heads in place of Prime Ministers. Normally the Prime Ministers or the Presidents that are part of this delegation, but the Prime Minister couldn't go. So we had the S. Jaishankar, who was a representative. Apart from that, let's see the other ones. Okay, so Rajnath Singh, what ministry, what portfolio does he hold? This is the Ministry of Defense, or the Raksha Mantri, right? Then we have Nitin Gadkari. This is with regard to Minister of Road, Transport and Highway. Piyush Goyal, okay, he's a chartered accountant, right? So this is Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And finally, Amit Shah, right? So that is Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, so this also I'll write Ministry of Defense. So here you have the important ministers and we have the external affairs. So even if you know about the ministers and the portfolios, you would have been able to answer this question. Now coming back to this, what is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization? When was this formed? This was formed in 2001. Okay, it is an international organization. Okay, it has about total of 10 countries. We're going to see which are the 10 countries. But what does it aim? It aims to cooperate in various sectors like economy and security and culture. Okay, it's a Eurasian grouping. Now, when you talk about Eurasian grouping, that means we have two words, right? Europe and Asia, right? But this is mainly with regard to the Central Asian countries and Asian countries and Russia coming together to cooperate in various sectors. So what are the 10 countries that are part of the SCO? So you have the first Shanghai 5, which is China, Russia, okay, then Kazakhstan, and then you have Kyrgyzstan, okay, and you have Tajikistan. So these are called the Shanghai 5 because they are the ones that originally were there. Then we have Uzbekistan who joined them. Uzbekistan. Okay. And then we have two countries like India and Pakistan. Okay. India and Pakistan that joined in 2017. Recently, we had Iran that joined in 2023. And in 2024, which is the last and the latest country to join, that is Belarus. Okay, Belarus. So here we have the 10 countries that we see which are part of SCO. Can you tell me the headquarters of SCO? It is in Beijing. Okay, so remember, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the headquarters not in Shanghai, but in Beijing, China. Okay, so this is all with regard to the important, points with regard to that. Okay, where was the meeting? It was in Astana. That also you can remember. Astana is the capital of Kazakhstan. Okay, so let's proceed to the next question. The 16th edition of the India-Mongolia Joint Military Exercise named Dash began at the Foreign Trading Node in Umrao, Meghalaya. Okay, so India-Mongolia, if you talk about the defense exercise, it is nomadic elephant. Now, there are some other exercises. We're going to see what are the other exercises also. Varuna, if you talk about, it is between India and France. Okay, now all of these other, examples, or you can say options, India is a part. So apart from India, who's the other country? Okay, bilateral groupings. These are joint military groupings, right? So with India, it's France. Mitra Shakti. If you talk about Mitra Shakti, this is with Sri Lanka. Okay. Then you have Malabar. Now Malabar is a quadrilateral grouping, right? It's Quad. We have the Quad. Okay, quadrilateral security dialogue. So there are 4 countries that are part of Malabar. Now, which are they? It is India, USA, Japan, and Australia. Okay, so remember, this is not bilateral, it's multilateral. It has 4 countries that are part of this naval exercise. And finally, Vajra Prahar, this is between India and USA. Okay, so we've seen the other exercises as well. Let's proceed to the next question. Siddharth Mohanty has been designated as the MD and CEO of Dash with effect from June 30th, 2024. And that is LIC, or the Life Insurance Corporation. Nothing much to discuss. Let's understand the next question. The Indian Army contingent has departed to which nation to participate in the 13th edition of the joint military exercise named Maitri? Okay, Maitri, that is Thailand. Okay, so we just saw nomadic elephant, that's India, Mongolia, and Maitri, it is Thailand. Okay, so remember, where is the capital of, what is the capital of Thailand? That is Bangkok. And which is the currency of Thailand, right? It is Thai baht. Okay, so that is baht is the currency that is of Thailand. Let's understand the next important question. Jharkhand Mukti Morcha's executive chief Hemant Soren took oath as the 13th chief minister of which of the state? That is Jharkhand. In fact, if you talk about Hemant Soren, he was arrested by the ED because of alleged money laundering with regard to linking to a land scam, okay, a land scam. So he was arrested. Now he's on bail, and now he has been taking the position of the 13th CM. Before that, we have Champa Soren, who was part. Now he stepped down, and he has allowed Hemant Soren to be the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. So that was in the news as well. Let's understand the next question. 46th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee will be held in which place? That is in New Delhi, Bharat Mandapam, right? From July 21st to the 31st, 2024. So remember, here we'll have to know about UNESCO World Heritage Site, because of course India has been, had the honor to mainly hold a session in India. So let's understand more about the UNESCO. So here I have some important facts that you can note down. So UNESCO, what is the full form? United Nations Educational Scientific, Cultural Organization. It's a specialized agency of the United Nations that was established in 1945, right? During the time of UN. Now, the aim of this is mainly to contribute peace, security. It wants to have cooperation in what sectors? As the name goes, education, science, culture, right? In those aspects, they want to cooperate with the world. How many members do we have? We have 194 members, but there are some UN members that are not part of the UNESCO. Like we have Israel and Liechtenstein, okay, Liechtenstein. So these are not part of UNESCO. So this is something that you have to remember. Where is it headquartered? The headquarter is in Paris, and you see that they also give a number of reports. Which are the reports? World Water Development Report, Educational Monitoring Report. Okay, so this is the reports that are released by whom? UNESCO. Here we also see that India has about 42 sites, okay, if they ask you World Heritage, because that is the convention that was there, UNESCO World Heritage Convention. So here remember that we house 42 of them, okay. Mainly, why do we have the World Heritage sites? This is mainly to have certain conservation, preservation of our cultural sites. So that's why we have, the first site was Ajanta case, right? And recent, if you talk about, that has been Shanti Niketan in West Bengal, and we have the Hoysala temples in Karnataka. So this is the recent additions that we have. So this is with regard to UNESCO. Let's proceed to the next question. So here we have with regard to the smart cities. Let's see the question. The center has extended the smart cities mission under the Union Urban Development Ministry. Till which year? So here we have March 31st, 2025. Okay, so remember the date, March 31st. Let's understand now what is the smart cities mission. So if you talk about the smart cities mission, it was launched in 2015, okay. Now the aim of this is to create 100 such cities, okay. It was selecting 100 cities by way of, some sort of competition, and it wanted to have, those cities will have proper infrastructure, they will have a clean environment, stable environment, okay. So when you talk about the smart city, what does it mean? It is that city that has basic infrastructure. It uses smart solutions, it uses technology. Okay, mainly with regard to your sewage management, or with regard to wastewater management, energy systems, all of that is A1. Okay, it has great technology. So here we are going to develop 100 of them, and the goal that we earlier had was 2020, but twice we have extended it. So we see that now the goal has been kept to 2025. Okay, so proper 10 years that this scheme has. So that's how you can remember. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. That means both the center and the state funds it. Okay, that mainly they are collaborative effort of both the center and state. And which ministry? There is Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Okay, so remember the Ministry of the Smart Cities mission. Let's understand the next question. Which Indian chess player defeated Spaniard, that is a Spanish, Jaime Santos Latasa 3-1 in the finals to win the 2024 Leon Masters for the 10th time. So, which is the person? It is the Indian chess grandmaster Vishy Anand, okay, or Vishwanath Anand. He's commonly called as Vishy, right? So, Vishwanath Anand has won this for the 10th time. Remember this important fact. Let's understand the next question. Which country has issued for its first new banknotes in 2 decades, packed with 3D hologram technology to fight counterfeiting? Now, what is this news? Of course, here you have a clue. Okay, the clue is saying that it is yen. So, which is the yen? Whose currency? It is Japan's currency. So, here you see 20 years later, we are seeing a new currency that have brought about by Japan government. And what is this? They also have 3D hologram. Now, what is the use of 3D hologram? It is in such a way, the strip, that it is very difficult to create fake notes. Counterfeiting is mainly fake currencies. So that is how they have brought about new currencies to fight fake currencies or counterfeiting. Okay, so that is with regard to Japan. If you talk about South Korea and North Korea, what is the currency that you have there? Here you have won. Okay, South Korean won, North Korean won. If you talk about China, okay, here you have yuan, okay, or it's also called as, we have renminbi. Okay, renminbi. Then we have Vietnam, which is with regard to dong. Okay, this is the currencies that you can remember for each of the countries. Let's proceed to the next question. Which country joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO recently, thereby becoming its 10th member state? Now, we've already discussed this question some time ago. So, what was the answer? Belarus. Can you tell me the capital of Belarus? The capital is Minsk. Okay, and the currency, because we're talking about currency, it's ruble. Okay, it's also written as RUBLE. So, that is other alternative spelling for the same. Let's understand the next question then. Who among the following has officially taken over as the 58th Prime Minister of Britain following a resounding victory in the general elections? So the new Prime Minister of UK is Keir Starmer. Okay, he belonged to the Labour Party. Earlier, who was the Prime Minister? It was Rishi Sunak, right? Rishi Sunak. He was mainly from the Conservative Party. Okay, so now they've got a lot of seats, okay, in the House of Commons, as their Lok Sabha, as you say. So Keir Starmer is the winning Britain Prime Minister that we have. Let's understand the next question, and of course the last question of the day, which is according to the Mercer's Cost of Living Data Report of 2024. Identify the correct statements. Okay, now Mercer's Cost of Living Data tells you about the highest or the cheapest city or the affordable city to live in and the most expensive city to live in. Okay, so let's see what is the data that we have. Here you have Hong Kong, Singapore and Zurich. These are one of the costliest cities to live in. Okay, your standard of living is very, very high. Next, you have Lagos, Abuja, which is of Nigeria. These two cities belong to Nigeria. In fact, there was one more city which is right above it, that is Pakistan. We have Islamabad. This also comes under the city that is very affordable to live. Okay, the cheapest, or you can say affordable living, is mainly Lagos, Abuja, both are in Nigeria, and one you have Islamabad in Pakistan. So these two are important with this. With regard to Mumbai, okay, so we are considered is the highest in all the cities of India. Mumbai is one city that is again has higher or you can say is expensive to live in India. So that rank is about 136. Okay, that is the rank which Mumbai has. So this says that all the three statements are absolutely correct, and therefore your answer is 1, 2 and 3. So this is where you remember which is the highest. Okay, that's Hong Kong, which is the lowest, that is Lagos and Abuja. And you have Mumbai, Indian rank. If you talk about, we have Mumbai's rank is 136. And that's all for today. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends or your fellow aspirant. Thank you so much for watching.